Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, a fistful of sandfire, sea, lavender. See you next year.
So Chris and I are slightly sheltering because it's very cold outside, but it is seriously beautiful, stunning blue skies and beautiful sunshine, but it's very fresh. So we're being wimps, and we've gone into the White Office where there's a heater, and it just gives us a little bit less shiveriness in our voices. So welcome to Deepdale Podcast. It's March. The world has gone even weirder than we thought it could have done. But we are hoping that 2022 is going to be a great year here at Deepdale, and that we will be having a huge amount of events happening, and the music program's going to restart, and yes, lots of great things are appearing in the diary. So I thought it'd be lovely to chat with Chris, who, of course, as you know, is the muso in our team, and the one that gets very excited about hosting all these amazing artists, and just find out what's going on. So how are you, man?
Yeah, good, thank you. I'm good. Crazy world.
Crazy world.
Very.
Who would have thought that
difficult.
2 years on from the first sort of COVID cases, the world would get even weirder?
Yep, absolutely. You know, I think we're moving obviously into very volatile times, and it's difficult to be thinking that we should be talking about happy stuff and all the great things that we're looking at doing this year. But at the same time, you know, we have to carry on, and carry on we will, certainly, as things stand at the minute. So, yeah, we are at the moment looking forward to a busy season. You know, we're looking forward to some dry weather, sun's out, and getting some music going again at Deepdale, which, you know, we're now starting to get some gigs programmed in, which is good for us, and very much looking forward to hosting the artists that we've got lined up through the spring, and then obviously our festival again in the summer, late summer, and we call it summer.
It's International Women's Day today, so big shout out to all of the ladies on our amazing team, both on the farm and on the tourism business. So hello to all of you, and thank you for all your amazing work and support. And of course, our thoughts absolutely go out to everybody affected by the war in Ukraine. Just truly bizarre, and our thoughts absolutely go with those guys. But we are going to try and, as so many other broadcasters are doing, try and stay positive and think about positive stuff. So here goes, and fingers crossed. So we've got a date on the 9th of April. We have the first of what is appearing to be a good selection of tours coming through Deepdale, and actually using this as a venue on their national tours. So we've got Emily May Winters. Tell me a bit more.
Well, Emily, I saw Emily first, and there will be no surprise when I say this, at Moseley, Moseley Folk Festival, and absolutely, completely and utterly blown away, and thought, I really, really would like her to play at Deepdale, and been trying for a little while, interrupted by COVID, because we had her booked for the 2020 festival that we had to cancel, and then couldn't get her for the 2021. So, fingers crossed, we have Emily booked for the 2022 Music Festival at the end of September, and in the meantime she's doing a spring tour, so we've piggybacked onto a little spare date that there was hanging around, and we are really pleased that she's coming up to us on Saturday the 9th of April for a gig, playing some songs from her really, really great album High Romance, and some new songs as well. So she'll be performing as a duo, and really looking forward to that. Really, really looking forward to that. Her voice is fantastic. The depth and the power, drama she puts in it. Her songs are so good, so good. She's on the borderline between, I think, folk and country, certainly with the High Romance album. I haven't heard any of her brand new stuff, so that'll be a surprise for me too. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing Emily. That'd be great.
It's going to be good, and that's going to be a Brick Barn gig, isn't it?
It is, so, yeah. We're getting the Brick Barn going as our ongoing music venue prior to the festival. We should be, fingers crossed, showcasing some great female artists through the spring. So we've got Emily coming, we've also got Katie coming later on, and also we're talking to one of our local female folk talents about coming along a little bit later.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So if you want more information on Emily May Winters, her gig on the 9th of April, then please go to deepdalebackpackers.co.uk/events or /music, doesn't really matter either, or sort of you'll find the information. And tickets are £10 per person. There will be some available on the gate if we haven't sold out, but watch this space. But we highly recommend booking tickets in advance for that. Come along. It'll be primarily seated gig, but I'm sure that it will be a very enjoyable. The team are going to be running a little bar, and we would love to see you. And it's just so lovely to be able to talk about having live music back at Deepdale. I know the festival went really well last year, but it just to have these sort of individual concerts happening here at Deepdale is fantastic, because it feels like a very long time since we had a gig.
It is a long time since we had a standalone gig, and it's something that we want to get back doing.
Yeah.
And want to welcome people in for those evenings. They have a different feel. It's lovely. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. So April's turning out to be quite an arty month here at Deepdale. We have the Pantaloons are returning. Those of you who have seen them before will know how absolutely hilarious they are. They've managed to find brilliant comedy in the most surreal of stories and classic of stories. And in April, on the 16th of April, Saturday the 16th of April, they are bringing Great Expectations to Deepdale. It will be hilariously funny, I have no doubt. And normally there's a cast of sort of 3 or 4 people who play every different thing, with a change of hat and a change of waistcoat, and and a clear pointing out to the audience that they are a different character due to a moustache or a pipe or whatever else it is. And it is very, very funny. And this is going to be a Brick Barn one rather than an open air theatre show. Great to see the Brick Barn being used again, and we would love to see you for that. It's Saturday the 16th of April. I had hoped that I was going to get Mark from the Pantaloons on the podcast, but I think, despite the fact that he likes prancing around on a stage and writes all these amazing scripts, he is somewhat hesitant to jump onto a microphone. And today, this week, he is in the final stages of production of Great Expectations. So it will be, he felt that was probably more important than jumping onto here. But I would highly recommend coming to see the Pantaloons at any of their shows that they've got with us this year. They are hilariously funny, and it is a really, really entertaining evening. So definitely worth coming to. Saturday the 16th of April.
Great.
What else should we be looking out for in the diary?
What larks? I'm going to just finish with what larks.
Okay. What larks?
What larks, Pip? So Wales in the diary. So Katie Doherty and the Navigators will be our next gig after Emily, and that's Thursday the 2nd of June, which is the first of the extra bank holidays this year. So no excuses, you won't be working, so come along.
Fingers crossed the Queen is with us until then.
Yeah. Let's.
She hasn't got long to go,
let's
so
I
think they'll be fine.
To get there, you mean? Not
yes.
To get there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yes. So,
no, I wasn't wishing her bad.
Of course, we wouldn't do that. Definitely not. So yeah, Katie Doherty coming along on the 2nd of June, and to reprise and to develop her performance from the festival in the church. If you were here and saw that was a stunner. And I have had, as I keep mentioning, a sneaky preview of the new album which they're touring at that time, called Flow, and it is a really stunning piece of work. It's truly fantastic. It's really personally written. The lyrics are very strong. The message is very powerful. It's a really empowering record, and it borders all sorts of stuff. Traditional folk. More modern folk, and then into it's got some pop anthem-y type themes. I love it. I really love it, and it'd be great to see you here listening to that and seeing them in concert, because they're great.
And that's on Thursday the 2nd of June. So that's is the Thursday an actual bank holiday?
It is.
I'm so confused.
Yeah,
by
the
what
Thursday and the Friday are the bank holidays.
So the 2nd and 3rd of June are special bank holidays, and that's for the Jubilee. Yeah. And Katie is coming on for an interview with me on next month's podcast, so that'll be really great. We've got that lined up, so that'll be a pre-recorded interview for next month, which will be cool. And that'd be another fantastic Brick Barn gig, so definitely worth coming along to that. And you can find all of this stuff on deepdalebackpackers.co.uk/music. It's all listed on there. And then we've got some other dates in the diary to watch out for. Some really fun stuff coming up. The Pantaloons are coming back to us twice more this year. Well, they may come back more than that. So there might be some winter tour. But for this summer, they're coming with the War of the Worlds. Clearly not that easy for me to say. The War of the Worlds for open air theatre on the Orchard on Friday, the 1st of July. And then they're back again on the 19th of August, Friday the 19th of August, with Much Ado About Nothing, which will be a brilliant adaptation of that as well. So they are going to be hilariously funny and really worth coming to. It's fingers crossed, beautiful weather, but they are a stoic bunch, and they cope with whatever is thrown at them, and it's well worth seeing it, whatever the weather. And then we've announced the dates, the big dates for Deepdale Festival 2022.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, back again. So, 22nd to the 25th of September. And we're already looking forward to it. It'd be great. Absolutely great. I've started the juggernaut of the putting the programme together. This massive jigsaw stage is underway. And so it just won't stop now. It'll carry on all the way through. And we've got day tickets, weekend tickets, if you're not staying with us, available now on the website link. Sadly, if you were looking to actually stay with us, we are completely sold out.
Look, literally every pitch.
Yes.
Every room.
Yep, every pitch, every room. And so, we gave priority to our existing customers on our mailing list and who stayed with us last year, and they have taken everything.
It did go slightly mad when I sent the email out, and I did have to apologise to the team because I sent it out on a Friday, and it went somewhat insane.
Yeah, so what we will look to do over the next couple of weeks is we'll look to add some links for other accommodation providers in the local area. So if you are looking to stay, whether it be camping or in a slightly more upmarket in some rooms, we'll put some options up on the website so people can have a look around. Obviously they won't be directly on site with us, but they won't be too far away. And and day tickets, weekend tickets are available, and they are already selling. So do look out for those and grab your tickets. Prices are the same for those as last year. So we'd love to see you that weekend, and fingers crossed that we get the same weather as last year, because that would be
amazing. Very nice.
Programme's taking shape. I'm not going to reveal anything at the moment, I'm afraid. We've still got a few fairly sizable irons in the fire, so I'm going to hold fire until I get them.
That's very cool. And layout sort of similar to last year, so with the kind of the two stages in the orchard.
Yeah, we might have a couple of extra little surprises. We did have a couple of people come back to us and say that there might be just a little bit too much music on, so we've taken that on board and we're looking to put some more on. Because we completely disagree with that, I'm afraid. If you come to a festival, how much music can you take? As much music as we can possibly put on. So we're going to look at if we can add another couple of little stages, just to also to help support some young performers, some local performers who are looking for a bit of live performance experience, really. And we've supported a lot of young and local talent, and I'd like to sort of revive that and take that further. So we're looking at doing a little bit of that. But watch this space; it'll all start to emerge on the website over the next few weeks.
That's brilliant. And in terms of other things to kind of keep an eye out for, there are green woodworking courses going on at Deepdale Farm with the wonderful Richard Rood. So there's a stool making course, and there's introduction to green woodworking courses, which are really worth having a look at. Every month, on the first Thursday of each month, there are guided farm walks, which are really worth going on. As we progress our organic conversion and carry out a lot of conservation work, it's well worth looking out for those coming along and joining us on the first Thursday of each month. There are some conservation days on the 15th and 16th of March. So lots of hedge planting and tree planting, and working on some of the hedges that have been pollarded and ready to lay. So if anybody wants to join us for those, then they're a great day of getting lots of fresh air and a little bit of dirt under your nails, and really worth coming along for. And Haunted Deepdale, we hope. It is still being worked on, the plan, but we're hoping that will return in late October with the Slow Theatre Company, who bring their spooky promenade theatre experience, which so many people enjoyed last year. So a really nice sort of busy calendar. Don't forget that there's glass workshops happening all the time at Driftwood Glass Studio, and that the pop-up shops have begun at Dalegate. The season has begun, and they are actually running right through until Christmas. So they change every week. Lots of great artisans and producers coming into those, and really worth having a wander around once a week to see what's there. So fantastic program, and as Chris mentions, there will be more music appearing as he gets excited about bands and goes, "Oh, you should come and play at Deepdale."
There's new albums out from a couple of our favourites, and we're hoping to have those play with us this summer and in October. So look out for those. You'll know them and you'll love them. So look out for those.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Well, man, thank you.
You're welcome.
It is so lovely seeing people staying and the winter's been crazily busy in comparison to previous years.
It has been a busy winter, that's for sure. But we're now, enlarging our team, ready for an even busier summer. The Wood-Fired Pizza Company is already back on Friday nights, so they're here doing their sourdough pizza stuff, and should be a busy and good year here. Fingers crossed that everything sorts itself out.
Yeah, and again, we send our thoughts and our and any support that we can to those affected by the Ukrainian crisis, and we hope that some sort of end is not far down the road, but keep well, everybody. Stay safe, and we look forward to talking to you very soon. I'll be back with some farm chat shortly.
Farm Chat with Nathan and Jason.
That's all right. We can always edit it out or leave it in, depending on how amusing it is.
Well, yes, indeed.
Be like some of your impressions.
Terrible impressions.
But they needed to be left in, so they were very good.
I've learned doing the podcast with you that if you say something, it is entirely possible it's going to get left in.
Yep.
So you just have to be on your guard. In fact, for all I know, you're recording this.
I am.
You absolute swine.
Excellent. Well, Nathan and I are sitting in the farm office because, quite frankly,
it's warm.
Yeah, that's true. It is beautiful outside. There's lovely sunshine. There's blue skies, but it's freezing, and all you would have heard was the wind, because it is quite windy out there. And poor Nathan has been working on hedges this afternoon, and there is literally no cover where he was standing, so he's feeling a bit windswept, and occasionally is yawning because he's had way too much fresh air forced down his lungs by the beautiful but cold wind. How are you, sir?
I have had an excess of fresh air. I'm going to have a little sleep under the desk after we're done.
Did you feel like you had a successful day, though? Did you feel you got some stuff done?
Well, the work that we've been doing today is we've been doing a bit of gapping up of a gappy hedgerow with some nice little beech plants, and we've also been starting to clear back a hedgerow which we have recently done some coppicing on. And
which you did a mighty fine video of.
Which there is a video of that on our social channels and on our YouTube, and you can see more about that and more about the fairly scary but rather necessary process of coppicing.
I had in my head, right, when you said, he has a circular saw, right? Yes. I had in my head one of those little ones that we've got in the tractor shed that you cut some bits off. That thing was bloody massive.
It was about 2 or 3 feet across. It was a very large, very fast turny sort of piece of metal, which basically just but that's the only way to. I mean, that's the only way practically to do it, because if you're looking at hand holding a circular saw, you may as well just start using chainsaws. Whereas this is a tool on an arm on the back of a tractor, which you'll see if you look at the video. And the handy thing about that is that after you've cut the hedge plant, you can use this motorized arm on the tractor to gently push the plant out of the way after you've cut it, which is doing part of the work that we need to.
I think the circular saw was similar to the size of the one that they tried to chop James Bond up with.
Pretty much, yes.
No, Bond, I want you to die.
Yes, indeed, and there's another advantage to being sat inside a tractor shed when this thing is operating, because it sends bits of sort of splinters of wood and bits flying everywhere, and if you hit a flint, and there is no shortage of flint around the place, then you'll know about it if you're right up close. So as it is, when I go in and tidy up with a chainsaw, because the circular saw cut down to about 6 inches, and I have to go in with a chainsaw to sort of tidy up the cuts. and I will be looking out for bits of flint, which will doubtless send sparks flying and make life quite interesting.
Yeah, don't hit one of those too hard with a chainsaw. Not advisable.
Yes, indeed.
Do not try this at home.
Yes, indeed. So that's what we now have to do. Is it's really quite a lot of work. Is having coppiced these plants, we now have to clear back. We have to sort of chop up the bits of cut material, and then we can work out what we're going to put back over the cut stool, the cut hawthorn plant, to protect it, the regrowth from grazing by deer. And then we will put some through a chipper, and we'll use that to mulch the new planting that we're putting in. And then we've got some sort of more solid bits, and we can possibly put those sort of just on the south edge of the hedge line as a bit of a windbreak to shelter these whips. Quite a bit of work to do still.
So just explain, coppicing is where you cut the plant down to sort of ground level almost.
Yes.
And then the idea is that it's got a good rootstock, which you're not affecting at all, and that will then cause regrowth. So like you would see in a pollarded tree sort of thing.
Yeah, so coppicing and pollarding are cutting of a tree. Pollarding is when you do it above the ground, and historically you would pollard a tree because, for example, if you were growing the foliage on that tree for animal feed, you could be sort of cutting it a sufficient distance above the ground that it wouldn't be grazed by animals, and you could sort of grow it on for as much as you needed to. Coppicing is when you cut a plant right down to the base. And what we do when we coppice is we put in a sort of a sloping cut with a chainsaw, and that ensures that water runs off the base of the plant and doesn't pool in the base of the plant, which would cause it to rot down. And the process of coppicing, so I refer to coppicing when I talk about cutting a plant off at the base, but also coppicing is used to describe the sort of the process of regeneration that the plant undergoes. Practically every broadleaf species of tree that we have in this country will actually come back up from the base when it's been cut, and it's an evolutionary development. If you imagine a plant is coming up and it gets trodden on by an auroch or a mammoth or something, the first thing it needs to be able to do in order to sort of continue living is to recover from damage like that and sort of keep growing. And coppicing has a very, very long tradition in this country in terms of production of wood fuel and production of wood for various different applications from sort of path edging to, for example, Bradfield Woods down in Suffolk, not so far away from us. It's fairly close to Bury St Edmunds. Bradfield Woods has been managed continuously as coppice woodland for about 700 years, and they've got hazel there. Now, if you go back far enough in time, the monks in Bury St Edmunds were cutting that hazel coppice for broom handles, and now Suffolk Wildlife Trust are actually leaving that hazel for longer because they're encouraging dormouse habitat. So these, coppicing goes back a very long way, and for us, coppicing is a hard reset for the hedge plant. It is forcing it to regenerate, and because that root system is already all underground, and the plant is reasonably dormant over winter, essentially what will happen next with those plants that we've coppiced is they will send new shoots up from the base, and where they've been sort of quite unhappy and unhealthy for quite some time, they've been over-trimmed for many years. By coppicing it, you are forcing it to essentially rejuvenate itself and to start again. And coppicing actually doesn't kill a plant. This is something I've explained in the video. Coppicing doesn't kill a plant. What kills a plant is not allowing it to come back. So we have to be very careful to protect that regeneration, that regrowth from grazing by deer, rabbits, or whatever that's coming by that wants to munch on those shoots. And as long as we do that, then those plants should come back. So it looks really brutal, it looks quite scary, but it's a really good way of getting that plant to start again. And it does extend the life of plants. There is a lime tree at Weston Burt Arboretum, which is about 2,000 years old, some ridiculous age like that. And the reason it's that old is because it's been coppiced continuously over many, many, many years. If it hadn't been coppiced, it would have died and rotted out years ago. Mm-hmm. So, this is a sort of a nuclear option for us on these hedgerows that we've got around the farm, and a lot of our hedgerows are similar. If you drive along your average country road, you'll see lots of hedgerows on farms, really gappy. They've got a big sort of bit of canopy at the top. there's lots of holes in between, and that's because plants haven't been managed, they haven't been coppiced, they haven't been laid, and eventually they give up the ghost. They'll either fall over or they'll rot out. And this is one way for us to try and bring those plants back. And in all those gaps that we've got between the plants, we're putting in new hawthorn whips. So hopefully what we'll have before too long is bushy hedgerows, which will start off quite low, but that's the beginning of developing a beautiful new solid hedgerow, which is fantastic habitat and a food source for birds and invertebrates and a great windbreak. So yeah, this is a process which takes a little bit of time, but we're following some amazing guidance which has been given to us by the People's Trust for Endangered Species, and this is a well-known sort of technique for managing hedgerows that we're following. So yes, hopefully people don't panic too much when they see this.
No, there was one or two questions on when you posted the video online, and one of the questions was, why don't we lay them? And of course, that would be our preferred option with some of these hedges, but with the hawthorn hedges getting as big and old as they are, they just don't lay because they just snap, don't they? They just kind of give up the ghost.
Yeah, some people who are, you know, if you're good enough, you might well be able to get that plant to lay. But ironically, in trying to lay it, so the process of laying is where you cut 80% of the way through the stem to create a hinge that you can then use to lean that plant over, and it's called hedge laying because you are literally laying the plant down. And that process means that you need to have a hinge and you need some flexibility in the stem. And if we were to try to do that with a plant where this stem at the base is up to a foot thick and fairly tired and half rotten, that it's quite likely that actually we just end up coppicing that plant anyway, because it snaps off and we then just have to sort of start again.
And the danger is if you try to lay it and it snaps much lower than you'd want it to, which would mean that then you might get rotting under the ground.
Yeah,
if it's sort of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. If it snaps, so there's a thing that happens if you cut a tree down. The tree can split, can open up before you plan on that happening. A lot of the time, when that split happens, it's called a barber chair, because the appearance of that split can look like the back of a chair. And there is a danger that you create a split in the base of the stem. And if you get water and sort of contaminants into that base, that will rot the plant out. It will kill it. So it's really quite a tricky thing. And we will lay where we can. What we're also doing around the farm is we're letting up our hedgerows. We haven't cut them now for the last 2 winters. And that's giving us lots of nice top growth. But because of the way that our hedgerows have been managed for such a long time, they don't actually lend themselves to laying very well. And laying is quite possibly something that we'll look at doing with hedgerows on the farm in maybe 5 to 10 years' time, when they've had some nice upright growth. We've got reasonably sort of slender stems that have got some flexibility in them, and that's when we're into a nice program of sort of managing them properly.
So where we've coppiced these hedges that we've done now,
yes,
when they regrow, we could lay them in 10 years' time.
Yeah, theoretically. I mean, so hopefully what we have is a sort of a line of growth. There's lots of sort of trimming out of the sort of the bushy bits further down to actually create a plant which you can lay down without, getting caught up in the foliage left, right, and centre. But it is quite possibly going to be easier to do that after the plant has had a chance to actually sort of put on some nice upright growth. A lot of our hawthorn hedgerow plants, and this is again something you'll see on a lot of hedgerows around farmland in Norfolk and elsewhere, they look like a sort of a mushroom almost, because they've grown up, and then as the plants either side of them have rotted out and died, they try and compensate by creating canopy, and they've been cut to the same height. And if you try and bend that over, it's not necessarily going to work very well. So yeah, laying's a lovely thing to be able to do, but coppicing is arguably, for a lot of our hedgerows, is a better solution for us to be using. The key point being that we don't want to be killing off our hedgerows. We're actually doing this to try and restore them.
Yeah, we're not grubbing them out or anything. What we're trying to do is encourage regrowth. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's cool. lovely sheep have gone.
Yeah, the sheep have gone. 36 ewes. They have headed off the farm. They've gone off. They're going to be lambing any time now. They did a beautiful job of grazing off a winter cover crop. They've left it. They've left the field nice and clean. They've given us lots of lovely manure, and they were great to look after. Very easygoing, and much like the guys that own the sheep, William and Sarah, very easygoing people. And it was well worth doing, and hopefully we're going to have sheep back on the farm before too long. Cool.
So what else is Stephen's in the tractor at the moment? Well, not today, but he's in the tractor driving up and down, prepping for spring crops.
Yeah, lots of cultivation. We have got a lot of our fields have been coming out of a clover lay. So a lay is a sort of temporary grassland, basically. So our clover lays have had about 18 months in the fields where we've cut them now, and we're ploughing to incorporate that organic matter back into the soil, and that is also giving us a nice clean seedbed. And we will be drilling spring wheat, and we've also got spring barley and spring beans this year. This is our second year of organic conversion, so we've got 60 hectares worth of crops to get in the ground. And so the prep work is happening. We're a little bit behind on some of this, but
the weather has been very wet.
The weather's been interesting, but yeah, that's we're going to hit the ground running with that tomorrow as soon as Stephen's back in, and we'll be finishing off some cultivation. And after we've ploughed, we put a power harrow over the field. A power harrow is an implement where you've got lots of big, fast turning sort of almost like clawed hands. And they're creating a sort of a nice fine tilth in the soil. And as soon as we've power harrowed, very quickly after the power harrow, we'll go over with a drill, and we're putting in our spring wheat and our spring barley and our spring beans. And we'll see how we go this year. Hedgerow works and this and a few other plates spinning at the moment.
Yeah, and then we've got woodworking courses are happening with Richard over the next couple of weekends, aren't they?
Yeah, next 2 weekends with more dates. We'll be adding more dates after March, but this weekend we've got our first stool making course, which is a 3-day course, and that you can come along and you can make yourself a stool, and we still have a couple of places available on that. And then next weekend we've got an introduction to green woodworking, and we have a few places available on those dates still. And Richard has been really enjoying taking the courses. We've had some really nice feedback from the people that have joined these courses so far. Very nice, relaxed atmosphere, lots of sort of looks of concentration on people's faces. The whole pole lathing thing, getting that to work requires some concentration, but it's that lovely form of concentration where you can be a bit zen and sort of just focused but also relaxed. So that's quite a nice one.
Yeah, it's not particularly stressful, but you do have to concentrate, and so it's really nice. You can kind of forget about everything else. If you need to de-stress from work and stuff, pole lathing is a great way of doing it, because you've kind of got to get your coordination right, you've got to get thinking right, and so you kind of full focus, but without having to really stress your brain, and it's a great way of zenning out, as you say.
Yes, relaxed and engaged at the same time, and Richard is a very calm and reassuring presence.
Yes.
So he's a bit like a sort of a Yoda of green woodworking, who's very very pleasant chap to work around. So yes, that's the next couple of weekends, and hopefully we'll be carrying on after that. And hopefully at some point before too long, we'll move those courses up to Downs Barn, which we're finishing up work on now to get that ready.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. It'd be lovely to have that sort of centre of rural crafts. It'd be great.
Yeah,
and I know other people are getting in touch about running different courses and stuff like that. So it's going to be great to see that program developing.
Yes, indeed,
be really good. So anything else that's going on? It's not like there's nothing going on, but just anything else that you wanted to mention?
No, we've got lots of other irons in the fire. There's a lot to be getting on with at the moment. The second we're done with spring cropping, we will be doing some. We'll be doing some early cuts of our clover lays to encourage the clover to come up during the year. We've got some more wildflowers and other bits and pieces to establish. There's plenty to be getting on with. We have got our conservation volunteering sessions that we are we'll be putting up dates for that, and sometimes the dates will the day of the week will change slightly. So next week I'm looking for volunteers to come in on Tuesday and Wednesday to help with hedgerow works. But that's
the 15th and 16th of March.
Yeah, so there's so anybody who wants to come along for one of those, there's lots and lots of work. So just come with a can-do attitude, and we'll keep you busy. And then hopefully we'll have further opportunities for people to come along, and some interesting things happening hopefully this year, which will include things looking for invertebrates on the farm and doing various other bits and pieces. So yeah, there's more to come still.
So the 15th and 16th, that's primarily about hedging and tree planting, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of hedging, lots of tree planting. I've got lots of hedgerow plants that need to go in the ground. Planting a hedgerow plant is reasonably straightforward, but you still need to do it properly.
But it's really satisfying when you get a whole row of them done. It
very,
is really,
very
really
satisfying. Got about 3,000 plants that need to go in the ground, and any that haven't gone in the ground by the time they start sprouting, and they've already started, they're going to have to sit in a trench, and they'll have to basically cool their boots until next winter, and we'll carry on with hedgerow works. But there's plenty to get on with, certainly Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Yeah, cool. I'm hoping to avoid any Zoom meetings and get some hedge planting done. That's my plan. Best laid plans and all that sort of stuff, but that's my hope.
Hedge planting is a great antidote to Zoom meetings.
It is very good. It's the antithesis, whatever that word is.
The opposite.
That's the word. Yeah, I should have just gone for the easy option rather than the complicated one,
yes,
which I can't pronounce or remember.
Yes.
There we go. Well, man, thank you very much for chatting with me.
Welcome.
And it is really nice to see a fuller diary. Chris has been chatting to me prior to this. We've been going through all of the music events and theatre events and stuff, and it's just to see a what's on calendar actually developing for Deepdale for this year is lovely. After a couple of rather interrupted years, it's really rather nice to see so many things in the diary.
Indeed, we're in no danger of being bored. Yes.
No, that is very true.
Yes.
Well, thank you, man, and keep enjoying the blue skies and lovely sunshine. But just remember, stay warm.
I'm very happy to be out of the wind for the time being. So yes.
Yeah. Cheers, man. Thank you. Thanks again for listening to the Deepdale Podcast. We hope you enjoy the listen, so much so that you might tell your friends and family to take a listen. You can subscribe to the Deepdale Podcast in any good podcast directory, including Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Castbox, our hosts, Spotify and YouTube, and you'll find all our previous episodes. We always love to hear your thoughts and suggestions, so please do drop us an email to podcast@deepdalefarm.co.uk. Keep well, and we look forward to seeing you on the beautiful North Norfolk coast sometime soon.
Skies all open wide, geese go high and over. Oh, now you're a beachcomber, a fistful of samphire, sea, lavender. See you next year.